G'day, welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I want to do an update on our web store and our products that we sell. Yes, for those people who don't realise, we sell a fair few of the products or a fair few of the components that you see used on our videos. A brief little overview of that. Many years ago now, over 10 years ago, when I started going out started to do some ELR shooting, started to do some extreme long range shooting, and started to reteach myself some of the bits and pieces that I was going to do in this style of shooting, I found that I couldn't get some of the components that I wanted or felt that I wanted to use. Now, myself being a country boy, being a mechanic / engineer, I don't have a degree or anything like that, but I've done a lot of designing and building things all through my life and trade and everything. That's what I do. That's how my brain works. And I could see there were things that I was doing that I would take my rifles and modify them in fashions, learning as I went. But I also found that components that I wanted weren't there, so I started to do the same thing. That comes right back to our adjustable bag bases that we use. That and Muzzle Brakes is probably the first place I went to. I got that to where it was something that worked, the adjustable bag base, and then I found I started to get questions as to could I get one of those. To start off with, I resisted. It was something that I wasn't looking at going into making products or selling products for people. A little bit out of were they going to be good enough, were they going to suit other people, a little bit out of the amount of work I was already doing in me and Sam running a small business as well. But it was something that I started to consider. And the same thing happened with muzzle brake wise, where I built things until people I was using them and people started to ask and wanted them. Fair few challenges to go through that process in hand making most of the stuff to start off with, and then trying to find companies to help us with the things we couldn't do in the very small numbers we want to do. We're not a proper manufacturer, we're not doing things in the tens of thousands, so very hard to get things done at even moderate prices. But all those excuses to the side, we've been through that process, and now for many years we've been selling things all over the world. We are a small manufacturer, so we don't have the power to be able to set up in warehouses and dealers and things around the world, so we do it all out of our web store, which uses the postal service and ships all over the world. There are some countries that have some problems, especially with the COVID side of things, but if you check on the store, you'll be able to see whether they can ship to you. But listen, all over the world, really, from everywhere to everywhere, from Alaska to the UK to New Zealand to Africa to Russia, you name it, there's been some of our components sent there from the stuff we've seen. So, listen, that's basically what we do as a store. I'll go through some of those products. Like I said, the adjustable bag bases we have from our little ones to right up to our version 4s and a whole range in between. If you look on your store, you'll see those. Certainly for us, it was one of the first components that we built that worked really well. Made our shooting style, made things simply easier, ends up with more consistency, and we get a lot of feedback about people becoming more accurate, very quickly becoming more accurate because of that consistency, because of the body comfort and the consistency the adjustable base gives. Muzzle brake side of things, I really designed something that ended up with lots of different designs and bits and pieces to something that was pretty simple and clean. To start off with, I thought they were a little buffy shaped, but I was going with what I wanted in the way of the features to not blow up dust, to make them not give percussion on your face, to lots of features I wanted in it, and the aesthetics was the least of that thing. But it's turned into something which you set up properly. I think they look great, and we get lots of good feedback from it. Lots of feedback saying, wow, this is so much nicer than the brake I did have on it. So that's the muzzle brakes, and there's a whole range of those. We've probably got to go through and start to refine some of the threads, but there's lots of logic to go with it. And you'll see on the web store we have links to videos that explain a lot of these details as well. So that's sort of probably the heart and soul of it. And the other side of things, and the next bit I have always done a lot of, is making bag riders for the rifles I use. That turned into, to start off with the MDT side of things, that was a specific angle, and we made those and started to sell them. That was even before MDT sold a bag rider. And then we found in universal bag riders and have gone into right out now to a level where we have built a bag rider that has an adjustable V on it. You can lock that up to wherever you want for going on the back of a normal hunting stock and giving yourself a bag rider. Use your the sling swivel studs to mount it on there, so don't need to modify your rifle to all sorts. And I suppose what I'd say with the bag riders, once again, there's videos there. The latest feature that some people have seen, some won't, is that we have now a couple of a universal and MDT in a heavy option as well. So they're steel, made to balance your rifle a little bit more and put weight in a pretty smart place on your rifle. But those are there as well. All listed on the store, so stuff to keep an eye on. In the front here I have something designed once again out of a need I had, and the manufacturer wasn't going to go there, but this is actually a couple of different components. But this is the Nightforce Wedge. Well, actually I have my Nightforce Wedge here, and that's how I have it in its little bag. This is able to screw straight onto the front of a Nightforce scope. That's just a little lock nut on it, so that's how I carry it. That's how my wedge travels around. I can still clip it on like normal, but that's how it can screw straight on. I've also made another piece, expensive little piece with lots of little components in it, but that actually turns into a swivel nut that you can put it on without having to rotate the thing, so you can leave your scope there and just screw it on the front. And now we've got listed on the store just a little plastic dust cap, a thread protected dust cap. That means that that's how this thing now travels in its case, with a dust cap on either end. So that's ready to go on and off and use whether I'm using my adapter or I'm using a Picatinny rail, but that's that system there. We haven't had any requests for other scopes. A fairly big process to go through to build up another piece to go into that component, but it is something that if there do get enough requests for a particular scope and we can get that scope with the right thread on there so we can figure it out, actually it is. A lot of companies don't share that thread, and it's a very difficult little thread to measure and get right, but conceivably that's an option. That's that little lot. I suppose the other thing that I would say on here is I wanted to do an update on our mats, shooting mats. This is one of the new ones. They video on there to go through that. This one is the one I've been laying in the dirt and the mud for over a year now, for 18 months of hard work. And really, apart from the fact it needs a wash, it's exactly the same creature that started off with. From laying on rocks to laying in mud to laying in sheep shit to you name it, there is nothing comes through, not in the conditions we've shot in, so there's no water coming up through the mat. Nice and thin with still moderate protection from rocks and things, but lets the bipod sit on the ground properly to enough comfort for what I want to do. I've found them awesome. And that little roll-up ball, you know, I could fit 3 mats where my one mat used to be. So for us, been really good. We've sold a fair few. They are on the store, but just like I said, an update on them. They're working really well. We'll do that again in another year's time. But I see the way they're wearing, and from what I understand of the material, this will be the same in 10 years' time. But anyway, that's the update on that. Going well. Another component that I want to show you is this. It's something I spoke about. I went through the process of what we're doing. It's something I wasn't going to release because I suppose to me this is a fairly expensive little product and really designed for gun shops. But this is a video I did on working out the right scope rings for your scope. This little tool is able to mount on top of a rifle without a scope, and then you can position a little sighting thing to where you can line it up there, see what height it is, and then this gives a measurement on the side. It's not really for the individual. The individual can buy it, obviously. A little bit handmade, as I do. I make them here. There's a little bit of help we get with some of the base products, building some parts of it, but the majority of things I end up either doing the full manufacturing, finishing manufacturing, or finishing. And Sam's there helping with that process. whether it's cleaning or whatever she's doing on that side of things in the component process, and then all the packing side of things. So this is all done with Mark and Sam doing the job, and this is a fair bit of that laser cut stainless steel. It ended up with something that is really designed for a club, for a gun store, that sort of stuff. But that's another product that's on the store there. Stainless steel, you know, if you drop a hammer on it, you'll damage, but otherwise that's going to last forever, and really make that decision of what rings that guy wants. Like I said, really a gun store side of things. You can put it on there, get him onto the rifle, work out that height, and that's the size ring, so he knows what he's looking for. We got a bipod system as well there. That's worked really well. You'll see it all the time. I really do like using it. Another component designed out of a need I had, and then the smartest way I could get there. It's one of those components, like most of them actually, they've ended up a little better than my initial need was. And that's that one for sure. And for the people all over the world that have them, we sort of get the same sort of feedbacks. Really nice. I like the way they look. I like other features about them, but shooting with them is really nice as well. And I think that's about it. Oh, the shirt here. We also have these shirts on the store for people who have those questions. We got this shirt, another need. The black one, people couldn't see components in front of it, so I got something bright and white, obviously, so you can see the components in front of it. We've got those shirts and the old shirts on the store as well. For people shipping questions, that sort of stuff, that ask about the cost of shipping, or do we ship to your country, or that sort of stuff, all easiest answered on the store. It's a postal service, so pretty much goes everywhere in the world. No issues about getting there. The postal service, so you'll be in there 2 to 3 weeks in general, and sometimes longer for some of the countries, especially with the COVID thing going on. But go onto there, you can find all your shipping costs, shipping rates, all that sort of stuff, the choices you've got to go through there, and we try and put in the documents we need to for customs, or all those bits and pieces to make sure, but really there to help if there are any issues on that sort of stuff. I think that's about a list. Thank you for all the people who have purchased our products. As said, designed out of our need, but turned into where we're very happy to be able to provide it for people. And yeah, I suppose let us know any comments or questions you've got below. And other than that, thanks for checking in on us, and we'll catch you next time.